and then start the lecture.
Sure. Okay. Hello, good morning, everyone. So, as of today's lecture, we'll go through like sequence types, which we learned in last lecture. The sequence type was nothing but like list, tuple, and range. And later on, we'll go to the dictionaries, where we understood like what are dictionaries and regarding sets and frozen sets. So, as part of our last lecture, what we did was just going through like understanding theoretically like what it is and getting an example and syntax for each of these. So to start off with now, what we'll do is we'll go through each and every example by doing a live coding exercise here, just to get an understanding like how it works and how to view a list or a dictionary or any kind of these things and print these values. To start with the first thing which we learned about was called as list. And what we understood was list is like an array, like a structure, which comes in like square brackets. And inside those square brackets, we provide all the objects. Now, those objects can be either numbers like this, then complex number is also possible. And then we can have a word as well as a characters inside it. So that's like the best feature of a list. So if you want to declare a list in a Python, what we do is we give the list name first. So we can give any list name as per our requirement. So we can say like my list. That's like a variable name for a list equals and open bracket and square bracket, like a close bracket. And inside this, we can provide any kind of data which we want. So let's, for our understanding, let's go with a basic one where we will put is numbers. So this indicates like we have created a list and this list contains five numbers in it, ranging from 1 to 5. Now, again, like if you want to understand like what are the numbers which are present inside a list, then we can just do a print command to get what are the internal details inside my list. Now, once I execute this, I should see whatever data which is present inside my list, which is nothing but the same set of numbers which we declared. So this is as simple as it is to understand like what is a list, how to create a list, how to declare it as well, and how to print that list. There are some additional functionalities like after creating a list like this, where it contains numbers, later on, let's say we want to make some changes inside this list, right? Let's say, for example, we want to remove 5 from it and get the list as 1, 2, 3, 4. So how do we do that? Uh, Similarly, if we want to like add some numbers into your list, so how do we do that? So there are like some operations which are provided with all these list, set, and dictionaries. For that, what we'll do is we'll cover in like next session once we cover all the basic types. And once all basic types are covered from the Python, then we'll go into all internal operations which needs to be done as part of all these things. But for now, we'll just focus on how to create a list and how to print it out and what is the syntax of it. So this is the syntax as well as viewing the data, how it will look once we run in a Python console. So for now, I'll just save out this thing for our reference. Same way, like how do we declare a tuple now? For tuple also, we'll follow the same nomenclature where the tuple's name can be any variable name which we want. So we can say like my tuple equal to and then bracket open and close. And inside this tuple, what we understood was a tuple contains some kind of numbers similar to a list. But the only difference was once a tuple is created, it cannot be changed. So that's the key functionality of a tuple. So for a good example is like we know value of pi, which is 3.14. Now if we store like similar kind of value in a tuple, now this tuple can be used in a program where we know like this tuple cannot be changed by any other external function or a program. So that's a good example for a tuple. And then lastly, if you want to just print what is the value which is present inside my tuple, I'll do is print my tuple, and I should get the value which is inside my tuple, which is 3.14. So this is also simple, as straightforward it is. So the next thing is range. Now range is a little bit different. What we understood was range doesn't store values like a list or a tuple, but range is basically acting like a looping mechanism for our program. So range doesn't need like any variable declaration like as we did for tuple and list. Range just need is the range function. The syntax is like a range, open bracket, close bracket, and inside these brackets will provide us two parameters which are like mandatory, which is the start parameter, which is this one, and end parameter, and a step function. So that step function is an optional one. And if we don't include the step function in our range, then by default, it is always +1. So let's take one example, like let's say I want to print numbers from 1 to 5. Now, how do I do it is, I will do is print range 1 to 5. And if I execute it, what happens? Print, okay, so printing doesn't work for this range. Now, how do we know like exactly what are the numbers inside my range? For that, this range has to be used always with like a for loop or a while loop. For now, let's take a for loop. If you are not aware, like for loop is like a looping mechanism or like an iteration looping mechanism where we provide a pointer like I or j variable and uh, give its start and end value, and we print those values. So for example, for I in range, what we'll do is print I. They should print whatever the values which are provided by our range. So if I execute it, I should see numbers from 1 to 4. So here we understood is range. If we provide like start as 1 and end as 5, it goes from your start to end minus 1 only, from 1 to 4 and not 5. Same way, we'll store this as an example for us so that we know like what exactly range works and how it works. So what we understood is range from 1 to 5 will go from 1 to 4 only. Now why it is because range need is like start to end minus 1 only. So this is like a formula or like a key understanding like how range works. And then if we include like a step function inside it, like let's say I want to increment every time by 2, and if I execute it, I will see like every second number from it. So since here 1 to 5, we had like numbers was 1, 2, 3, 4 initially. And now since we are incrementing every time by 2, what will happen is first number is printed by default, and then we are doing a +2. So 1 plus 2 goes directly over here as 3. And then afterwards, what is 3 plus 2? It's 5. Since 5 is not present in a list, we're just printing is 1 and 3. And that's how this step function is working. So as our example stated here, if we gave 1 as the start, end as the 5, and step function as 2, our output would be only from 1 to 3, because initially it was from 1 to 4, and then it started with the 1. Then we had a step of 2, so 1 plus 2 became 3. And then next one is 3 plus 2, which is 5. Now 5 is out of our range, which is out of 1 to 4. That's why we just got is 1 to 3. So this is also simple as it is, like to understand like how a range works. And this is not just like the first
So
time or like,
whichever the number is being specified, like 1 comma 5. So the fifth number is there. So that is a limit which won't be gonna printing it on the screen like that.
yes, correct. So if we say 1 to 5, then the numbers will be
If
printed from 1 to 5 minus 1, which is 1 to 4.
same if I do it from 50 comma 99. So it will be printed till 98, not the 99th number, right?
Yes, correct. So it will print from 50
Okay.
to 98. Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. So we'll go through all these examples, like when we do our proper practical exam, like exercises, and every now and then we'll be using this range. So by end of all these Python classes, we will like more proficient in like how to use this range, list, and tuples. So since for now it's just the start, we're just going into the basics like how to declare, and later on we'll jump more into all like programming aspects. Okay, so these three are clear. Now the next one is dictionary. Now dictionary is also a data type where we are storing data, but in a different kind of format, which is like a key value pair format. And some of the common like examples here is like, let's say we have a car dealership where cars are present. Now we have like variety of cars and every car's price is different. So how do we store such kind of information all together, like combined, so that we understand like one-on-one information? For that, we use this dictionary, because if we look at the same example, we cannot satisfy that into a list or like a tuple, right? Because in list and tuple, all we can store is just a single value information, which is just like a one dimensional. But in dictionary, we can store like additional dimensions of a object. So we'll just go into example now. Like let's say we have a car A. This is my variable name. Then, or let's just declare a dictionary first. Now my dictionary name is DIC, which is my required, or else I can change my any name of the dictionary as any required dictionary. My dictionary equal to open bracket, close bracket. So this is how we declare a dictionary, which is an empty dictionary. Declare a dictionary. Now later on, we want to add some
Sorry to
elements.
interrupt, sir. You can just minimize the right side screen and this one zoom it so that it would be more better
Okay,
while on the YouTube.
okay. So I think this is more visible now.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is how we declare a dictionary. Now, how do we store a key value pair inside my dictionary? So for storing a key value pair, what we can say is my dictionary. Then inside my dictionary, what I wanted was my car, right? Which is my car A, and what was its value? Value can be anything which is 10. So this is how we stored my first car's information. So how do we store a value inside a dictionaries in this format? Now let's say I have one more car. Now how do I store that information inside my dictionary? So I will say is my dictionary square bracket, and in single quotes I can provide car B and its value is 20. So this is how we are storing the values. Now how do we print the dictionary, right? So if we do just a regular my dictionary print, we should see values inside my dictionary in the format which we understood. So once we print, here we get to see how the key value pair is been. shown here inside the dictionary. So here my key is car A and its value is 10. And then again my second object which is car B and its value is 20. Now you might be confused like why did we stored in this format? Because what we learned was just like how the data is being stored inside my dictionary. So ideally, like every dictionary will have information internally stored in this format, but the different mechanism for a dictionary is like how do we store the value inside a dictionary? And this is the expected syntax every time for storing a value inside a dictionary, where you need to provide your dictionary name, which is this variable name, then open bracket and close bracket with a square. And inside the square, you need to provide is a key. Now this is your key, right? Where you are seeing this key is nothing but the key which is inside your square brackets. And the appropriate value for that key is on the right hand side, which is equal to. So this is the way of storing that key value pair inside a dictionary. And lastly, it's just a basic print where we can see what is internally present inside my dictionary. And this is how the values are stored. I think so this should be clear. Now for our understanding, we'll just store a program here. Now we'll move to set. Now again, set, as we understood, set is also like a one-dimensional kind of a data type where you can store values inside it, which will be like singular in nature. Now, the easiest and common way to understand a set is almost similar to a list, but the only difference here is set, once it's declared or anytime we have a set, it will always contain is unique values present inside it. That means we cannot have any kind of duplicates present inside a set. But if you have a list, which we understood like 2 minutes back, list can contain duplicate values, n number of duplicate values. That is not a problem at all for a list. But for a set, it has to be always a, a set which contains like only unique values. Now, how do we declare a set? Now, to declare a set, we have to give this nomenclature like a variable name equal to set function. And this set comes is open and close round brackets. So this is how we understood like to declare a set. So declaring a set. Whereas for list, it was pretty straightforward. What we did was my list, and then we just gave is square brackets, and this is how we declare a set, list. But for a set, this is how we declare it. And then if you want to provide some information in your set, what we can give is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if I run it, we are saying there is no error. So that means we have declared a set and we have inserted some values inside it. Now, how do we know like basically is this a set or a dictionary, right? Because for dictionary also we were using curly brackets and set also we are using curly brackets. Just to understand, we'll use the type function which we understood like in our first class, like using that type function, we'll understand like what kind of this variable is. Is it a dictionary or a set? We'll get to know. So if we do that print type of my set, I should see what is exactly this variable. And this variable is a set since we are seeing a class set. Now looking at these two concepts, we don't even need this first statement, which becomes like more easier for us to understand is like if you want to declare a set, what we can give is we just need to provide is a set name, which is a variable name. Then use is curly brackets, and inside those curly brackets, just provide whatever information you want, and it will always execute. But this first one is also a good to know example, like how do we declare a set. So basically what we understood is there are two ways to declare a set. The first way was give the variable name equal to set open bracket and close bracket. This is the first way of declaring a set. And the second
So
way
the
of
set
declare,
name we can use it anything, no? Like it's user defined, no? You can take it any
correct,
name, no?
correct, any
Okay.
name. So we can change it to like a basic variable called as a or x. That will work. So it's not a problem at all. For just for our understanding, like to know like what this variable is, like while doing the program, we just want to know like, okay, so this variable is for my set. So that's why we are just giving like my set so that it's more descriptive for us to understand. And the second way of declaring a set. And then lastly, what we did was just to understand like what was the type of the variable. Now, if you want to know is what is the values which are present inside my set, I will do is just a basic print. And if I run it, I should see the values inside it. So it's still executing. Let me stop it, comment this first one. Yeah. So sometimes this console gives issues. So anyways, like whatever these values which we are seeing is nothing but the values which we have provided inside a set. So this way we understood like what is set also. Is there any doubt until now?
No,
And
sir.
okay. All right. So now we have understood like what are sets. Now what we'll do is we'll move forward to frozen set. Now frozen sets also we understood was similar to sets only, but the difference here is frozen sets, once they are declared, they cannot be changed, which indicates like there's similar kind of nature to a tuple. Like once a tuple is also declared, it cannot be changed. Frozen sets are also the similar ones where like once they're created, we cannot change it. So how do we declare a frozen set, right? Now, same way as we declared a set, we can say like my frozen set. Oh, I think 1 second before we go there. Let me copy a set example here. Okay. So frozen set, how do we declare it is provide a variable name which we want, which is a user defined name for a frozen set. So let's say my frozen set equal to, I will give this open bracket and close bracket. So this is how we declare a frozen set, declaring a frozen set. Now, if we just execute it, if you're not seeing any kind of issues, that means we have declared it correctly. Now, once we have declared it, what we can do is how do we provide some values inside my frozen set. Now, the way we can provide is, let's say we want to add some values inside it. So 1, comma 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now these 5 numbers I need to declare as a frozen set. Now how I can put is, I just need to cut this and put it inside my frozen set function. And if I execute now, that indicates I have declared properly a frozen set, and this frozen set contains values which are 5 values. Let's check why do we need like round brackets instead of curly brackets. Now, if we provide curly brackets also, and if we run it, we'll see it works. So it's all up to us, like how do we provide these values. Now, since we have provided values inside a curly bracket, that indicates is we are providing a set inside a frozen set. And if we provide round brackets, that indicates is nothing but like a tuples, like we are providing a list of tuples. So that is only one basic difference. So just for
So
our
frozen bracket is round brackets
yes,
and the sets is the brace brackets.
yes.
Is it okay?
And now what we need to do is we just need to know what are the values which are present inside my frozen set. So what we'll do is print frozen set. And if we run it, we should see what are the values which are present inside my frozen set. Now here we are seeing is the function name frozen set, which is because we have created this. Now let's see how can we remove it, or is there a way to exclude this. So frozen set dot, these functions are not required because that will just create confusion. So actually it's that's the way it is, like whenever we create a frozen set, this is the way we are going to see the output. Whereas for sets and list tuples, we'll see the actual values which are present. But for frozen set, the way it's been shown always is this way. So that's the expected one. Now, why we are showing the frozen set name here, including the values, is if we just show internal curly brackets and its values, that way we cannot differentiate between a set and frozen set, right? Because in a previous example, when we used set and we did a print on it, we saw is the internal values, including the curly brackets. Now that was the way of getting the data inside a set. But now here we have is the frozen set. Now how do we differentiate between a set and a frozen set is, this is the proper nomenclature which is provided by Python, where it's saying is like if we do a print of frozen set, we will have is this frozen set keyword present as part of our output. So that is a good point for us to remember, like how a frozen set is shown.
Where we are using the frozen set usage
So
in
frozen
that
sets
program.
usage is like let's say we uh, uh example right now, let's say we have list of numbers which doesn't wants to change anytime in future or anytime during a code execution. At that point we will need to use this frozen set. So example there
That means
is
if I wanted the stable values only, the fixed values, which I don't want to change it henceforth. So at
correct.
that time only will be okay.
Yeah, so it's like a constant values which once it's declared we don't even need it to change by any other external functions or classes or any kind of operations. So it's like a constant list of numbers or constant list of objects which doesn't even gets changed when the code is executing. But if we use a set, right, like this, or list or list or dictionary, these things can change, like their values can be changed during execution of a program. But for frozen set and tuples, whenever they are declared in a program like this, those will never be changed. So the common example is, let's say in my frozen set itself, if I have like 3.14, which is a pi value, then like some constant values like 0, which doesn't needs to be changed, or some kind of like user defined value which we don't want to change, we can put inside this frozen set or a tuple, and utilize that in our program so that even if any code is touching these frozen set or tuple and trying to like update this value of like 3.14 to like 3.15, it will never ever allow, like it will throw out an error like we cannot change the value. So that's the best way of like having frozen set and tuples. Now, how often do we use it? We'll be using like very rarely because these kind of frozen sets and tuples would be used in only rare scenarios where we need to have some constant values in our program which doesn't need to be changed. But most of the frequent times we will need some of the values to be changed for our programming purpose. For example, now we want to like add like even numbers from 1 to 100 into a list. For that, we'll go with like a regular list, right? Because that list needs to be changed after every operation of two numbers. Like once we go from number 2 to number 4, we saw like 4 is a new number. So we want to add that 4 into an existing list. That is possible using list, set, and dictionary. But if we are using a tuple or a frozen set, we cannot add those values inside because it's like declared and we don't even want to change it. So looking at this, it's like very rarely used, but yeah, it's a good to have feature which needs to be understood and learned for the programming. So this covers our basic concepts for like data types, which we have learned until now. Now the next thing, let me just minimize this, zoom in this.
So I guess time is getting over, no? I guess one few minutes might be remaining.
Yes, so we have is like 3 minutes. If you want, we can drop now and connect again on the
Yes, so
link.
stop the recording and I'll rejoin it again once